In the history of naval warfare, no commander has achieved what this man did. 23 battles, 23 victories, not a single defeat. His name was Yi Sun Shin, and in the span of 7 years, he would become the greatest naval commander who ever lived. The year was 1592. Japan, unified under the warlord Toyotomi Hideyoshi, launched the largest invasion in Asian history. 158,000 troops, over 1,000 ships. Their target, Korea. Within 19 days, the Japanese war machine had captured Seoul, the Korean capital. The Joseon dynasty was on the brink of collapse. Korea's army had crumbled. Their navy was in shambles. But this is the story of how one man and his revolutionary ships changed everything. This is the story of the admiral who never lost. Yi Sun Shin was born on April 28, 1545 in Seoul, into an aristocratic family. But his path to greatness would be anything but smooth. As a child, Yi loved war games. He was always chosen as the leader, carrying a bow and arrows, pretending to shoot anyone he thought acted unfairly. The villagers feared him and avoided passing by his house. But Yi's family carried a burden. His grandfather had been impeached during a political purge. His father, despite being from the noble Yangban class, never pursued a government career. Yi would have to forge his own path. At the age of 31, Yi finally passed the military examination. He impressed the judges with his archery, though he initially failed. When he broke his leg during cavalry test, posted to the northern frontier, Yi fought against Yurshan marauders. He quickly became known for his strategic brilliance and leadership. In 1583, he lured the Yurshan into battle, defeated them, and captured their chief. But brilliance breeds jealousy. His superiors, led by General Yi Il, falsely accused him of desertion. Yi was stripped of his rank, imprisoned, and tortured. The future admiral was reduced to a common soldier. But Yi Sun Shin's story was far from over. In late 1590, his fortunes changed dramatically. Within the span of just a few months, Yi received 4 military appointments in rapid succession. Each post carried greater responsibility than the last. Finally, he was appointed commander of the left Jeolla Naval District. Yi had never officially studied naval warfare. Neither he nor his subordinates had experience in naval combat. But Yi possessed something his enemies would soon learn to fear: an innovative mind. In 1591, Yi began construction of a revolutionary new warship. The Koreans called it the Geobukseon. The world would know it as the Turtle Ship. Then came May 1592. Japanese forces landed at Busan with overwhelming force. The Korean army crumbled. Seoul fell in just 19 days. But at sea, something extraordinary was about to happen. From his headquarters at Yeosu, Admiral Yi Sun Shin prepared to face an enemy that had never known defeat at sea. Despite having no naval combat experience, he was about to prove that genius transcends experience. On June 13, 1592, Yi Sun Shin sailed into his first naval battle. It would be the beginning of a legend. The turtle ship was unlike anything the world had ever seen. Possibly the first armored warship in history, it was Yi Sun Shin's masterstroke of naval innovation. Iron spikes covered the roof, making it impossible for enemy soldiers to board. Cannon ports lined the sides, allowing devastating firepower from multiple angles. At the bow, a dragon's head breathed smoke and fire, striking terror into enemy hearts. But the turtle ship's greatest advantage wasn't just its armor. It was both oar and sail power, making it surprisingly fast and maneuverable. While Japanese ships relied on boarding tactics, the turtle ship could strike from a distance and retreat before the enemy could respond. On July 8, 1592, at the Battle of Sacheon, the turtle ship saw its first combat. Admiral Yi ordered his fleet to feign withdrawal, luring 12 Japanese ships out of the harbor's safety. With the turtle ship leading the charge, the Korean fleet destroyed all 12 enemy vessels. Not a single Korean ship was lost. Yi Sun Shin himself was wounded by an arquebus bullet, but continued commanding the battle. The Japanese had never seen anything like it. They called it the Dragon Ship, and spoke of it in whispered terror. Some believed it was a sea monster sent by the gods to punish them. But Yi Sun Shin's greatest triumph was yet to come. On August 13th, 1592, at Hansen Island, he would face his greatest test. Toyotomi Hideyoshi had recalled 3 of his best admirals from land operations. Wakizaka Yasuharu, Kato Yoshiaki, and Kuki Yoshitaka commanded a fleet of 82 warships. They were the only naval commanders in the entire Japanese invasion force. Korean scouts spotted the massive Japanese fleet anchored in the narrow strait of Myeongnyang. The enemy was trapped by the geography, but they still outnumbered the Koreans. Yi Sun Shin devised a brilliant plan. He sent 6 ships to lure the Japanese out of the narrow strait into open water. The Japanese took the bait, pursuing what they thought was a retreating Korean force. But they had sailed into a trap. The Korean fleet surrounded them in a formation Yi called Hakikjin, the crane wing. Like a great bird of prey, the Korean ships enveloped their enemies. At least 3 turtle ships spearheaded the assault. The Korean vessels fired volleys of cannonballs into the Japanese formation, maintaining enough distance to prevent boarding while delivering devastating firepower. The Japanese ships, designed for boarding actions, were helpless. They collided with each other in the confusion, unable to bring their superior numbers to bear. When the battle ended, 59 Japanese ships had been destroyed or captured. Not a single Korean vessel was lost. Admiral Wakizaka escaped only due to the speed of his flagship. When news of the defeat reached Toyotomi Hideyoshi, he was stunned. He immediately ordered the cessation of all Japanese naval operations. The sea belonged to Yi Sun Shin. In 1597, Yi Sun Shin was impeached and arrested. He was tortured and nearly executed. The man who had saved Korea was branded a traitor by his own government. With the Korean Navy eliminated, the Japanese believed they now had free access to the Yellow Sea. They could resupply their armies and complete their conquest of Korea. In desperation, the court recalled the only man who might save them. Yi Sun Shin was hastily reinstated as supreme commander, but the situation was hopeless. He had only 13 ships. The Japanese fleet numbered over 130. On October 26, 1597, the massive Japanese fleet appeared. 133 warships, possibly more. The odds were at least 10-1 against the Koreans. Yi Sun Shin's flagship advanced alone into the vanguard of the Japanese fleet. For a time, only his ship fought the entire enemy force. Seeing their admiral's courage, the rest of the Korean fleet finally joined the fight. What had begun as a suicide mission became a devastating counterattack. When the battle ended, 31 Japanese ships had been destroyed. Not a single Korean vessel was lost. It was the greatest naval victory in history, achieved against impossible odds. The Japanese invasion was crippled. Their supply lines were cut. The dream of conquering China through Korea was over. One man with 13 ships had changed the course of history. December 16th, 1598. The Imjin War was finally ending. After 7 years of conflict, the Japanese were withdrawing from Korea. Victory was within grasp. The war was all but won. Then, in the height of victory, a stray arquebus bullet from a fleeing Japanese ship found its mark. The bullet struck Yi Sun Shin near the armpit on his left side. Sensing that the wound was fatal, the great admiral spoke his final words. When Chinese Admiral Chen Lin rode over to thank Yi for coming to his rescue, he was met by Yi Wan, who announced that his uncle was dead. News of Yi's death spread quickly throughout the Allied fleet. The battle was won. The Imjin War was over, but Korea had lost its greatest hero. 23 battles, 23 victories, a perfect record that will never be equaled. But perhaps Yi Sun Shin's greatest legacy isn't his victories or his innovations. It's the proof that one person, armed with courage, intelligence, and unwavering loyalty, can change the course of history. Yi Sun Shin is remembered for what he saved: a nation, a people, a future.